Hello, everyone. I'm Laurel Staples. The Blackfeet community struggles with a high rate of suicide in Montana, and now two sisters are on a mission to change that, creating a horse-based alternative to talk therapy following the loss of their brother to suicide. Montana Free Press reporter Nora Mabey just posted a new article on this, and she joins me today via Zoom along with Lynn Mad Plume. And welcome to both of you.
Thanks for having us.
And Nora, I'll start with you in putting this story together. And I know that you have been working on this for months. What did you discover about suicide rates in not only Montana, but the Blackfeet Reservation?
Yeah, Montana has consistently one of the highest suicide rates in the country. And the crisis is even more severe in tribal communities where people often must rely on underfunded and overburdened systems of healthcare, and where people live in rural areas and face just a myriad of overlapping factors. And so, while there isn't a ton of up-to-date data on the Blackfeet community specifically, one 2017 survey found that 1 in 3 eighth graders at Browning Middle School had attempted suicide. So it gives you a sense of how severe the problem is, and also how hard it is to address.
And what are some of those factors?
So when I talk to people about what's causing this, it's hard to even for people to even point to one thing. So there's the system of healthcare. Indian Health Service is the federal agency that provides healthcare to federally recognized tribes, and it's a system that's long been underfunded, and it doesn't provide specialty services. So that is certainly a barrier. Another one is rurality, like I mentioned, and then pretty much every person I talked to about this mentioned historical and ongoing trauma. So when we talk about historical trauma, things like when the government forced Native children to separate from their families and go to boarding schools, or genocide and other oppression that happened decades ago, still has present day consequences, and compounded grief over the years also is another factor.
Hmm. And Lynn, I know that you started a new program in response to this, but first describe the situation on the Blackfeet community.
Yeah, so for us in the Blackfeet community, just like Nora said, it's the chronic underfunding of our healthcare services and that historical and ongoing trauma. But what I see as the biggest issue is in order to solve these problems, we're being provided with services that don't make sense for us. And so when those services don't make sense for us, they can't really help us. And so what I see the biggest disconnect is that these services need to be led by us and for us because we know the best way to help our people. And so that's the biggest thing I'm seeing is more people coming up from our community to try to lead this healing, but also we need that on the other side of the coin, the support to lead our people to this healing. I think that's one of the biggest issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about the program that you and your sister started.
Yeah, so we started this program 3 years ago. My brother's name was Wyatt. His traditional name is White Rider. And so this was actually his dream. I had asked him once, what his life would look like in the future, and he just wanted to be in the country with his horses. But through his struggles after we lost him, it was about a year into the nonprofit that we started. Wyatt took his own life, and we just kind of said, we have to start making these resources move now. We don't have time to wait. And so we started the program, just really connecting with what we knew as Mad Plumes. We've always had horses. It's always been a huge part of our culture and who we are. And so we thought, what could we do? Well, we know what we can do and we can share our horses. And it's such a cultural connection for Blackfeet people to be with our horses. And so we said, let's just start moving this work and we'll make it happen any way that it needs to happen. We want we shouldn't be losing people the way that we lost Wyatt. It's 100% preventable, and there are ways that it can be done.
All right. So explain what it was like for you to share your story through the Montana Free Press.
We love working with Nora. She works in our community a lot. She's just a really great journalist, and she took the time to hear us and listen to us and listen to others in the community. And ultimately what it was came down to for our family is that we want people to hear Wyatt's story. We want them to know who he really was beyond just the way that he lost his life. He was so much more than that, and he had so much to give to the world that it deserved to be shared. And so we're just thankful to be able to tell Wyatt's story and thankful to Nora for sharing that story.
And getting back to the program, so horse therapy versus talk therapy, how does that work more than talk therapy?
Yeah, so the horse, it's really, we've always understood the horse as a relative to us, but they provide that non-judgmental space where you're in relationship with another being and it's more comfortable. A lot of what we see, somebody like Wyatt, he didn't want to sit in a room and just talk to somebody he didn't know about his feelings. That wasn't safe for him. And so, being on the land and being with his horses, that naturally opened him up. And we see that with a lot of men and young people in our community that they connect with horses in a way that they can't connect in a room. They can't sit in an empty room and try to talk about their feelings. They need to be on the land. They need to be with the horses. And so what we see when we see the little ones connect with horses, it's just this natural occurrence. It's not forced in a forced interaction. That horse provides that. And as Blackfeet people, we've always known that. And so that's what we've noticed in the work is that that we talk about a sacred relationship with horses, and that comes true in this work. They're our partners, they're our relatives, and they walk us through those hard times so we can talk about them.
And you mentioned kids, so that would be the most vulnerable group in this.
I think just, yeah, I mean, yeah. And traditionally, though, we always talk about helping the youth. And when you start anything, you always think of the youth first. And so they're the future and they're the ones who are really going to carry this work forward. So starting with the youth, we're teaching them those coping skills, those emotional regulation skills, and, that coming back to your body from all the traumas we experience. We're starting with the youth with the idea that this is going to grow and we're going to continue to share that generation after generation.
All right. Well, and Nora, what are your big takeaways in covering and researching this program?
Yeah, I mean, I think I exactly what Lynn said. I think the biggest takeaway from me was that solutions have to come from within the communities and from the experts who live there. And Lynn had this great quote that I haven't forgotten just about, I think you said, we're being told how to heal and that doesn't work. Clearly it doesn't work. And so I think seeing these solutions come from people who know best the struggles their community faces clearly is the way forward. And also incorporating culture like Lynn and Erika have done is so powerful. And I got a chance to observe one of the sessions with a little girl. And like what Lynn said, you can just tell how natural it is and how fun it is for kids to engage in this way. And it just seems like a really special solution.
Lynn, what is it like for you when you start to see that transformation with people seeking horse therapy?
It honestly, it heals a part of me, and it doesn't really feel like we're doing work because I think of Wyatt and how he would have wanted to share this love. He was a natural with horses, and every time I see that spark lit up in a kid or somebody who connects with the horse, I think of Wyatt, and that's his legacy. That he'll go on forever because of how much he loved horses. And so whenever I see that, I'm thankful, and the work is worth it.
What do you see long term with your program?
Oh, we have big dreams and I could talk about them forever, but we want to build all kinds of equine opportunities for our community. Horses really are central to who we are. And, we could have college programs, we could have more job opportunities, people teaching riding experiences, traditional knowledge. And so, really, just this model where all of our people are working together to help our little ones out of this rut that we're in, connecting us back to our culture and all of us working together with our horses to do that. So, whatever that looks like in our community, that's what we see.
And you've received some grant funding for this, and that helps financially.
Yes, so we're a small nonprofit. We're all volunteer. We've run off of smaller grants for the first 3 years, but in this third year here, we've gotten quite a bit more support. So it's been welcomed, and we're growing at quite an exponential rate. So it's good.
Nora, what kind of response are you getting since this story has been published?
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of readers who are really touched by Wyatt's story and also by the work that Lynn and Erika are doing. One reader told me that she was moved to donate to the nonprofit, which I thought was great. And then I've seen, it's shared on different tribal Facebook groups with different people saying, "Oh, I wish our tribe had this. We should do something like this." So I always like to see that because I think it's cool when a story sort of starts a conversation in different communities across the state.
And Lynn, for those that would like to help out, they would like to contribute, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so we have our website. It's just our full name, twopowerslandcollective.com. You can learn about us on our Facebooks. We have our website. And those are the best ways to learn about current projects that we have, upcoming events, and how to support the work.
All right. And this question goes out to both of you. What are the long-term solutions?
Oh gosh. I think for each community it's going to look different. And so, I think each every community, has this is facing unique challenges. And so I think it's just going to be a series of tailored solutions like this one, but also what it takes, like what Lynn said, is not just people leading from within, but also outsiders supporting them and trusting people who live in those communities that they know best, what will work.
All right. Anything else that you would like to add? Nora, I'll start with you.
I don't think so. I'm so inspired by what Lynn and Erika have done, and I'm just grateful to their family for trusting me with such a sensitive and important story.
And Lynn, the same with you, but also the long-term solutions that you think need to happen.
So as far as long-term solutions, I'll agree with Nora. I think starting with, adequate funding for our healthcare service is a good first step. But again, just that trusting and knowing that communities can do this for themselves. There are people coming up in our communities who are capable of this, and we know what's best for our people. And so just believing that, both in community and, outside of community. And the only thing else I'd really like to add is just that, as a small organization, we're really thankful for everybody who supports this work. And we always welcome any kind of collaboration, or if tribes that, want feedback on or advice on how to get this started in their own communities, because we firmly believe that the only way this work gets done is if we work together. And so we welcome that collaboration.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap this up then. And to read the full article, go to nbcmontana.com and also the Montana Free Press's homepage. And finally, if you are in a crisis and need help, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is just a call or a text away. So just dial 988 to reach a trained crisis counselor for free and confidential emotional support 24/7. Thank you, Nora and Lynn.
Thank you.